This build is insanely strong, dealing tons of damage, constantly healing you, and is super easy to acquire. There have been tons of different versions of this build over the years, but this season with the buff to hand cannons and the addition of elemental wells, we can really begin to see a shine. If you are new here, welcome in, and if you are one of my beautiful 881 subscribers, thank you so much for the support. So first off, I'm going to show you where and how you can acquire everything you need for this build, and if you already have everything, you can use the timestamps down below to skip ahead. Now starting off for your subclass, you want to go speak with Ikora in the tower. You're going to want to go to the solar section, then buy any grenade aspects and fragments that you might need for this build. You're going to want to make sure you have the trip mine grenade. Under aspects, you're going to want knock them down and on your mark. And for your fragments, you're going to want Ember of Torches, Ember of Blistering, Ember of Singeing, Ember of Tempering, and Ember of Mercy. Once you have everything for your subclass, you'll also have an exotic quest you can pick up, and the reward for this quest will be the Young Ahamkara Spine, which is the exotic we'll be using. And then acquiring the weapons. This fusion rifle is a world drop, so you kind of have to get lucky to get it. And if you don't have it, that's okay. You can use the Riptide, which you can acquire from the focus decoding from Lord Shaxx in the tower. You're going to need some crucible engrams, so you're going to have to run some crucible matches, and then you're going to have to turn in those engrams for Riptides. If you're just starting out, any Riptide is fine, but if you can actually get a good one, you want one with chill clip. As for our main weapon exotic, we're using the Sunshot. Most of you should have one of these laying around. If not, you can go to your collections, go to exotic, energy slot, see if you have the Sunshot unlocked, and you can reacquire it. If you don't have it unlocked, then it's a random world drop, so you can get it from random exotics that drop it in the world. You can also find Zur on the weekend and cash in his exotic, and if you buy his exotic, you'll have a chance to get the Sunshot, as well as sometimes he might sell the Sunshot in his shop. If you go to Zur this week, you can just straight up buy the Young Ahamkara Spine. Not the best overall stats, but if you don't have a pair, you can pick it up easily here, or just finish that quest from Ikora. And as for your heavy weapon, you can utilize anything you want. I know a lot of people probably won't have an Apex Predator, but if you do, you can run that. Any type of solar rocket launcher is preferred, but honestly, you can really run whatever heavy you're comfortable with. So now that we have everything for this build that we're going to need, let's talk about our abilities, how they work, and everything you can utilize to get the max benefit from them. So starting with our dodge, we're utilizing Gambler's Dodge. So when we dodge near enemies, it'll fully refund our melee ability, as well as give us the On Your Mark solar aspect, which will instantly grant us 3 stacks of On Your Mark, which will increase our weapon handling and reload speed for a short duration. Also in our class item, we're utilizing Powerful Attraction to automatically pick up nearby orbs of power whenever we dodge, Bomber to reduce our grenade cooldown, and Distribution to reduce all ability cooldowns when we dodge near targets. And since we're utilizing Powerful Attraction and picking up all the nearby orbs of power, but once we do pick up orbs of power, it's going to instantly heal us, and it's also going to give us some grenade energy back. So simply by dodging, we're going to get all these benefits. We're also using the Solar Fragment Ember of Singeing to recharge our dodge faster when we scorch targets, which will have a lot of different ways of scorching targets. Next up is the jump. You can use whatever jump you're comfortable with. I would recommend using triple jump, but if you're a psychopath, you can go ahead and use strafe jump and high jump. The only time I ever utilize any other jump besides triple jump is like PvP. This isn't necessarily a PvP build. All right, next major thing on our abilities is our knife, which is our melee charge. We're going to be using Knife Trick, which is a fan of flaming knives that scorch targets on hit. This is going to throw 3 knives, and any target they hit is going to scorch them. So what does Scorch do? Scorch essentially is a damage over time, and once a target accumulates enough Scorch stacks, it will ignite them and they will basically explode, dealing extra damage. Now let's take a look at everything related to the knife and how we can maximize it. So first off, our next aspect is Knock Them Down, which helps out our super, but the main thing is at the bottom. While we're radiant, final blows with your equipped throwing knife will fully refund your melee energy, and we are combining that with Ember of Torches. Whenever we throw our powered melee attack against the combatant, it's going to make us and nearby allies radiant. So instantly when you throw your knife, it's going to make you radiant. If the knife gets a kill, it'll refund your knives. and you can just spam throw your knives over and over again as long as you're getting kills. And if you can't get a kill with it and you just hit a target and scorch them, that's fine because you'll have your dodge. And when you dodge next to a target, it'll fully refund your melee ability. So it's just a fun loop. You can constantly be dodging and throwing your melees, but that's not the main purpose of this build, but it's definitely a fun combination you can utilize. Now, last in the ability slot is our grenade. We're utilizing the Trip Mine Grenade. This is a grenade that will stick to surfaces and it will detonate when targets pass through it. You can also stick it to a target and it'll just straight up detonate right after you stick it to them. It will moderately scorch the targets. Now, the main thing we're combining this grenade with is our exotic arms, the Young Ahamkara Spine. This will increase our Trip Mine Grenade duration and blast radius, allowing us to hit more targets. Also, our ability damage grants Trip Mine Grenade energy. So when we throw our powered melee at a target, and if it hits it, it will give us a chunk of grenade energy back. Into our fragments, we're using Ember of Blistering, which when we defeat a target with a solar ignition, it's going to grant us grenade energy. And to get the ignition, it's pretty easy. You throw your grenade, which is going to scorch targets. If the grenade doesn't instantly kill them and they're still alive, you can throw your knife at them, which will scorch them even further, causing them to ignite and refunding that grenade energy, as well as giving you grenade energy back just for hitting them with that powered melee. And on top of that, we're utilizing some mods to take this even further. In your helmet, there's Ashes to Assets to gain bonus super energy on grenade kills. In your arms, there's Firepower and Grenade Kickstart. Firepower is going to give us orbs of power when we get a grenade kill. And Kickstart is going to refund grenade energy when we throw our grenade. And if we have armor charge stacks, it's going to consume these stacks and give us additional grenade energy. This will top off our grenade and it will pretty much guarantee we always have our grenade as long as we're hitting our combinations. Our last two solar fragments are going to pair nicely with our Sunshot, which the Sunshot has the Sunburn perk. This weapon fires an explosive round and highlights targets that take damage from Sunshot, as well as Sun Blast. Targets killed with Sunshot explode in solar energy. Hand cannon's got a buff, so the Sunshot will do a lot of damage to red bars. It'll kill any normal red bar, and if you're in harder content, it'll normally be able to kill them in 2 shots. And it also does a lot of damage against orange bars. And once you do get a kill with it, that kill will explode in solar damage and it'll deal a lot of damage to the surrounding enemies. The Catalyst isn't that important, which is a random drop from doing Nightfalls, Gambit, or Crucible matches. It's just going to extend your range and give you more stability. Now, the 2 fragments we're utilizing basically for the Sunshot is going to increase our survivability, which is Ember of Tempering. Your solar weapon final blows grant you and your allies increased recovery for a short duration. This stacks up to 3 times, and while Ember of Tempering is active, your weapons have increased airborne effectiveness, and your solar weapon final blows create a fire sprite. Now, the fire sprites are important because it's going to pair with Ember of Mercy. When we revive an ally, you and other nearby allies gain restoration, but also picking up a fire sprite grants restoration. And restoration is very powerful. It's going to allow you to stay alive and take a lot of damage. Now, the artifact mod for this season has a lot of good things going for it to make this build even stronger. So we can utilize Overload Hand Cannon for our Sunshot, Unstoppable Fusion Rifle. In that next column, you can use Solar Strand Siphon combo, which is going to generate orbs of power for solar or strand weapon multi-kills. And if you are using like the Riptide, which is not strand, it is stasis, then you don't need to utilize this. You can just utilize a normal solar mod in your helmet. In that next column, if you are using a strand weapon, then Thanatotic Tangles is going to allow that strand weapon to have a chance to generate a Tangled, as well as Elemental Orb Solar. While using our solar subclass, our solar weapon final blows have a chance to spawn a solar elemental orb. Solar elemental orbs can be thrown to create solar explosions that scorches targets it damages. So just being able to scorch targets from throwing these, it really helps out this build. In that 4th column, if you're going against champs, you should use Elemental Fury, which is while stunned, champions take bonus damage from your abilities and elemental orb damage. So your abilities include your grenade and your melee charge. But if you're not going against champions, you can use Communal Pickups. This basically is going going to reduce the time it takes to be able to create these strand tangles or elemental orbs if your allies pick them up or destroy them instead of you, which can happen quite a bit when you're running normal activities. And for your other perk, you should be using refreshing pickup. Picking up a tangled or elemental orb grants energy to your least powered ability. So if you're using this build correctly, you almost always have an ability ready, whether that's a grenade, a melee, or a dodge. And if for some reason you like miss all your knives and you use your dodge, then you can pick up one of these and it'll help recharge one of those abilities faster so you can get back in that combo. If you make it to the last column, you want to use monochromatic maestro. Dealing elemental ability damage increases matching weapon damage, and elemental weapon damage increases matching ability damage. It's going to give you 10% extra damage for 5 seconds. So this is active pretty much all the time. It's just going to make your sunshot do more damage. It's also going to make your grenades and melee do extra damage. And also elemental munitions. Combatant final blows with tangles or elemental orbs have a chance to drop special or heavy ammo. This just helps you stay stocked up on special and heavy ammo, which is really nice. For your main stats, you want to put it into discipline and resilience if you're having problems with survivability. And if you're not, you can put it into something like mobility to help refund your dodge quicker. We'll quickly go over the armor mods. We already went over most of them. Make sure you have some type of solar siphon, whether that's the solar strand dual siphon or just a normal solar siphon. Ashes to assets, just going to give you that bonus super energy on grenade kills. And powerful friends, collecting an orb of power causes nearby allies to increase their current armor charge by 1. In your arms, make sure you got grenade kickstart, firepower, and if you want, you can use fastball. If you're not used to fastball, then I wouldn't recommend using it. It just increases our grenade throw distance. In your chest piece, just know what element you're going against, and you can run some type of elemental resist. If you're having problems with snipers, then run sniper damage resist. If you're up close, run melee damage resist, and concussive dampener is just always good. In our legs, we're using innervation, recuperation, and it's always nice if you want to run a solar weapon surge to just have more damage for having armor charges, but we're going to be using a lot of armor charges from a grenade kickstart, so it's not necessary. In your class item, powerful attraction, bomber, and distribution. That's all I got for this one, and I hope you enjoyed the video or found it informative. I'll leave a dim link down in the description below if you want to check that out, and have a great rest of your day. Peace.